We are back with another album review. And sorry it took a bit longer. I thought I would have had this one out a couple weeks ago. But shit happened, so we're here now. So, as you can see by the title, the next one up on our list is one that, honestly, I stopped caring about long before it even released, even though I wanted it really bad. It is Alla Xul Elu's newest album, Gods of Evil Rise. Now, this is their first full-length album as a group in 4 years, after releasing Mausoleum in 2020 and then the Necronomicon 2 in 2021, which I will say, because now everyone's calling it an album, but yet I remember this being advertised as an EP. Like, I remember it, like, vividly being said as an EP, but whatever. Basically, it's their newest release as a group, like a full-length album in 4 years. I will say I was weary going into this album, because for one, it did take 4 years, and we didn't even get a single from said album until December of 2024. And it was honestly not the best single to drop with it. And because of my, like, disliking, or whatever you want to call it, of the first single, I didn't even realize the second single dropped until I was actually going to listen to the full-length album when it released. One of the big hypes behind this album was that it was produced by Mikey Clark. Yes, that Mikey Clark. I loved his production on Riddlebox and a few other albums, and I was hopeful that it would work here, but after, like, judging it off the first single alone, I was very weary going into this. And after my first listen, unfortunately, I just don't like it. It's not good. It's just not good for what I was expecting. And it seems like it was just a decline, with the last track just being a car wreck. Now, I will say, for a lot of the production, while semi-interesting, I will say, it was all the same, with very little diversity in the styling of the tracks. And when I mean the styling, I mean pretty much, like, it follows almost the same template with the patterns, instrumental, like the actual tools used in the instrumental, and etc. Like, the vocals were alright. I will say the vocals were mixed okay. Didn't have any problems with those for the most part, but just, it was nothing that blew me away. Now, starting off the track by track is the introduction, the intro, whatever you want to call it. It's just a story and honestly too long. Intros, in my opinion, if it's not a song, if it's just like an introduction track, should be a minute maximum. And this is close to 2.5 minutes. Paint the Town Red is the opening track here, and honestly not the worst one to start off the album, but not the craziest and not the calmest. It reminded me of a jungle in a way, if that makes sense to anyone, with how the beat went along. It made me instantly think of the track by Dope D.O.D., Ghost and the Darkness. Horns Over Halos is actually the second single released for this album, and isn't the worst choice for a single. If anything, I would have said put this one out first. This one hooked me a lot quicker than the first one did. Very catchy chorus, and has a good energy to it for the most part, but does kind of seem like a continuance of the prior track instead of a new one. It feels like, kind of like Shine On You Crazy Diamond, it's like coming back at the very end for the last parts of it. It just feels like it didn't really have its own, like, pizzazz. The cleansing really didn't leave anything to be desired within the track. It's very lackluster in feel compared to what we have already gotten so far, according to, like, the instrumental part of it. Till We Meet is the next song, and it was the first single released for the album, and it sucks. The worst song that could have been chosen as a single for the album. I'm not gonna lie. It sounds like I'm gonna, like, be ragging on them the whole time, but it's like, I will explain. But it's like the talking verse in the middle of it kind of just drove the interest right off a cliff. Like, right there, it was like, okay, I'm not interested anymore. It just kind of just, I hate talking parts in the main verse. Like, it didn't make sense. It just threw off the whole vibe of it. Beat-wise, it was okay, but feels like it was just another copy-paste of the Axis Family from the Almighty album. Light Up My Life did kind of savor some of that hype for the album, bringing it back into the style of the first two songs, and making it a bit more interesting for everybody. And then Let It Burn also, I will say, is a savior on the album, and is a breath of fresh air, and overall, a solid track through and through. I really don't have any complaints on it. And then we get Suicide Drive, which crashes my interest. Yes, I had to put that little joke in there. Laugh. I just think it's so off-putting for the album, in a way of, it was so much faster paced than what I'm used to hearing with them, and I just didn't think it worked well. God Damaged is probably my favorite song off the album, and it has like a perfect blend of this heaviness to it. Spill Your Guts is the interlude, no need to talk about it, I just wanted to talk about it here, so that way I'm not missing anything. Herd the Horde was another one just like Paint the Town Red, but heavier, and I will say I like the beat on this one a good bit. Now the Saints, I forgot to write this, so I literally had to listen to it right before this. I thought I did it, but oopsie doodles, it was alright. Wasn't the best track on there, it's a filler. It was definitely an interesting beat, I will say that, but Now the final song is From the Heart, and I will say, while it is kinda decent, it's a bit off from the rest of the album. When I say a bit off, I mean like, what the hell went wrong here? But it's an okay closer. It's not my favorite, but I don't really hate it. It's just like, it's there. Now we have the outro, Wave Goodbye, and why the hell would we need this? Like, I will say it sucks. It was a bad decision. It's damn near 6 minutes of just like rain. There's no song in it. It's literally just this. So now we're at the ear appeal section of the video. And for the ear appeal, it was just okay. I think I've listened to it about 3 times total since it has come out. The first one for the first like go through listen, then for the track by track, and then I just listened in the car while driving once just to check it out again. But it was not something fully I could get behind. I think the big problem, which was also the main driving force behind this hype for the album, is Mikey Clark's production. Now, I am in no way saying Mike is a bad producer. Honestly, he is a great producer in my opinion, and he has worked with a ton of amazing people. I just think his style of like the Juggalo production that he's done on other like Juggalo artists doesn't fully mesh with Alla Xul Elu's normal production when you go back to stuff like, I'm just gonna go off based off of just their M&E stuff, because while I do like some of their earlier stuff, I'm not as fully informed on it, if that makes sense. So like if you go back to stuff like The Almighty, even Church of Xul, Mausoleum, Necronomicon 2, like if you go back to those specific ones, and then compared to this, I do not think they are in kind of like the same family. It's like four intermediate family, and then like the second cousin. Like, yeah, it's still family. It's still in the familial like tree, but it just doesn't really mesh the same way. The vocal production was fully solid. Did not have a problem with that. It was mainly the instrumental part of it and the stylizing of the beats being more of a Juggalo, like, run-of-the-mill thing versus, like, Alla Xul Elu or even, like, a Long Live Evil type of thing. It just did not work well. So, for the ear appeal section, it gets a 4. Because I could see myself maybe listening again in like a year or so time, but I'm not certain. Now for the overall score, we are going to take into consideration stuff like the cover and the packaging. I started take into consideration the cover prior, but I really wanted to also discuss the packaging of, like, it being released as a physical piece, and mainly their CDs. So cover-wise, I hate it. I hate the main version of the cover. Everything blends together so much that it just looks like a big fiery eyesore. And what's crazy is, if I'm correct, they released like a limited edition cover variant where it's way better, it's superior. It's black and white basically with red titles, and it just pops so good. Like the grayscale black and white of the artwork, and then the red lettering just, it clicks so well. And unfortunately, the packaging is god-awful again. What is MNE doing? This is an MNE thing, because they did the same thing for Welcome to Your Funeral. It's a digipack. Who the fuck keeps telling, like, the labels that the consumers want digipacks? Because everyone I've talked to, these are like the worst packaging for a CD. They are awful, they're disgusting. I would have rather have wanted like a Ouija Mac card sleeve. While it's not better, it's still better than a digipack. And I think if you're paying $14.99, which is pretty much the base price for all the CDs, you should be getting a good jewel case for it. And you gotta think, it's $14.99, that's not before shipping. After shipping, you're close to $20 for a digipack. That's just a slap in the face, honestly. So, overall, Gods of Evil Rise gets a 5.5 out of 10. Because it's just an okay album. Now, I do love Alla Xul Elu, I love The Almighty, I love Mausoleum. They're great albums, but this one just did not hit the same. They've been hyping this up for, I think, 3 years plus. I think the first, like, talks about it were in 2021, but then 22 is when you started to hear more of it kind of just start to go around, but there was no definite date, there was no cover, there was no nothing for it until, like, just recently before the album dropped. It's like we didn't even get a single from it until December, like I said. But yet, in that same time, LLE, Long Live Evil, they dropped the Lost Lake Estates, and, like, which is, like, I think it's, like, basically everyone on Long Live Evil. And then Xul also dropped multiple singles during that time, and the Magic Xul Bus, which I reviewed last year. So it's like there was so much time promoting and hyping up other things they were doing, but it just felt like this one, there should have been a single out last year. Like, when I mean last year, I mean we should have had, like, a definite, like, look of what it's gonna be. Like, is it gonna release, is it not? We should have gotten this last year. We should have gotten probably a single summertime last year, and then a second single in December. I just feel like all the hype was way too much for an underwhelming album. Now, thank you everyone for watching. What are your thoughts on this album? What are your likes and dislikes? And I will see you with another review or something else later on. Take care.